Good evening, everybody. It's my absolute pleasure to be here to introduce my grandmother, Rashidah Ismaili Abubakar, whom I affectionately call Mami Rashidah. I've been told to keep this brief because there's delicious food afterwards, so we need to get to that. But speaking of food, that's exactly where I want to begin, telling you a little bit about Mami Rashidah. We bonded at her dinner table over many years with her stories and anecdotes as diverse and tasty as the food she cooked. I learned so much about her life in Benin and Nigeria, time spent in South Africa, the Lower East Side, Harlem, and trips to Curaçao to visit her lifelong friends, to name a few. Mami Rashidah is an amazing cook and has always welcomed people into her home to share a meal. But what she serves extends far beyond nourishment of the body. The richest conversations are had in her living room, where creatives, friends, family from around the world commune. I have learned through her life experiences the importance of building your own community, especially in a land that is foreign and without immediate family. When you step into her home, you are entering more than just a living space. You are walking into a museum of memories, an archive of family history, a gallery of life's beautiful moments, and most importantly, a space for meaningful connection and new beginnings. I am in awe of Mami Rashidah's grit and activism. She has consistently put herself at the front lines of change, using her voice and her pen as weapons for peace and justice on the African continent, in the US, and the world. Her dedication to fighting injustice has been unwavering throughout her life. She has taught us that activism begins first at home and then extends to a global community. Mami Rashidah has impacted my life and the lives of countless others in profound ways. She is our matriarch. Walking in the streets of New York with her, you will see that she is always greeting people, willing to talk to and brighten somebody's day. She takes pride in her community and does not shy away from an occasional scolding if someone shows disregard. She continues to inspire both young and older generations with her wisdom, generosity, and unwavering spirit. Tonight, as we honor her with this well-deserved recognition, I invite you all to experience what I've been blessed to know my entire life. I've said this many times, I want to be like her when I grow up. Mami Rashidah, congratulations on your award and recognition. May you continue to receive blessings for the light you shine on us. Thank you.
There is a line in the play Fiorella. My heart is so full of you, so full of you. That's how I feel. All of you, you are such an inspiration to see so many people come out, knowing that you are a history that I now am a part of. And this is what makes the human being, the human race, such a marvelous creation. All of us cannot be if one is not. And if we are here, then we must believe that there are others somewhere else who feel like us. We are not the only ones who have righteous anger, who want to see social justice. And so we have to find those connections. Rudine, I know from her work, I've worked with her, but her son went to Pratt Institute, and because she was using this, I'm used to Harris, I wasn't used to, so when Thomas comes and he says, look at you, I mean, that kind of a connection. So that's wonderful. The Puffin Foundation at one point gave me an award, a grant, so that I could go to an international women's playwriting conference. Without those funds, I wouldn't have been able to put the money together to go. All of these connections, the ethical culture has all of this history beyond the 150 years, just the immediate history that I know. So we are in a historical moment, and it is very important because we are also in an anti-historical moment. And it is human beings who make history. And we don't want our lives to be determined by the anti-social justice that we see prevalent in the world. It is the communion of all of us here tonight that makes the struggle sweet and possible, and we mustn't betray it. To start with Audre Lorde was so wonderful, and I appreciate that you did that. Audre was a sister to me. When I wrote a collection, Missing in Action and Presumed Dead, she was going to write the foreword, but she never told me how close her cancer was to its final stages. So I called one Sunday to say, I mean, how do you call Audre Lorde and say, could you please hurry up? You can't do that to somebody like her. So I was trying to be diplomatic and find the right way to say it. And I called at a moment when her friends were actually doing bed watch because she was eminently leaving the world. And she said something that I never thought of before. She talked about the process of dying. And she said, I've lived, I've done, and I'm ready, I'm okay. But these people, and the people who were holding her back were the people who loved her because they didn't want to have her go, to let her go. And she said, I will go if they let me go. And I understood this balance between the living and the dying, and loving, and how do you let go when you love, when you want that person physically in your life. And that's also part of life. Death is a part of life. It's not some morbidity that we should do all these horrific things that we're doing to withstand it. I just want to say 2 or 3 things about myself as a quote activist and writer. I take my inspiration from people like Audre, but also from Paul Robeson, who talked about how for him, there was no choice. If he was to be an artist, he said he had to be an activist. And if he was an activist, he was also using his art at the highest level that he was capable of. And so for me, there is no distinction between my activism and my work. I try very hard to encode my work with somebody, a name, an event that marks an activist situation. And so I try in my way to respect and honor those historical presences by doing the very best I can. Amiri Baraka said, the goal of a writer is not necessarily to be published, but to do the work. You have to write something if you want it published. And it sounds silly, okay. And it sounds like very trivial, but it's very profound. I think sometimes now we want to be published and then we write it afterwards. But now, here we are in this moment where the unions are being attacked. Union meaning unification, and false divisions are being created. There is no division, as far as I'm concerned, in the Abrahamic faiths. A Jew, a Muslim, a Christian are bound by Ibrahim. And I reject anybody, whoever he or she is, to try to create a division between those three religions. There is none. Okay. And so my work in interfaith tries to reflect that. At the same time, if you bleed, I bleed. If I bleed, you bleed. So everybody's blood is precious. Everybody's blood counts. Everybody counts. That's on one activism. As far as African people are concerned, African people were the first, and we will be the last. That is for sure, for sure. Victoria is certa. So I ask you to think about that. Think about this little person whose grandmother did not read or write, but who told me that I was the great thing and that I had a mind. That grandmother's daughter is standing in front of you now. My mother, who waited almost 40 years to give birth to a girl because she couldn't conceive. That mother's daughter is standing in front of you. I have one child born from me. That is my son. I have grandchildren from other people's mothers. That is Simba. I know Simba before he was even born. His mother came to me when she was 18 or 20, something like that. And she has been my daughter all these years, and I'm grateful to have her as a daughter. And now you are a part of my family, and I embrace you. That does not mean that I will accept everything that you do, because if you want me to do something, I have to ask it of you. What you ask of me, I try to give. What I ask of you, you try to give. I appreciate this honor. I appreciate being in your presence, and I thank you so much for the honor.
Beautiful.